Hey, welcome back. I'm Justin.
I'm Kayla.
And this is the Hope Shot. So today's story, we're going to hear from Kayla. Kayla and me met when we were doing business. Last year, COVID hit, and we all kind of got together, a bunch of businesses, and we kind of all collaborated and joined this group called The Hub. And we just help each other grow through our community, through collaboration, videos, all that, and we got to know each other. And actually, it's funny because I didn't think Kayla was on that side of the fence, as we call it. Kayla, me, we're actually, we're at the IV joint.
Yeah.
Getting some vitamins and stuff to get replenished.
Living the healthy life.
The healthy life, yeah. And she told me her story, and I was just blown away because, like, the outside looking in, you would never think that Kayla has a story like she does, like we all have. So we're gonna hear from Kayla and tell us how you did it.
I'm pretty sure you spit your drink out when I mentioned it and you thought I was joking. I don't know, but it's a very common reaction.
It is.
So my story, I grew up, I had a really good family. My parents are actually still together. They're not divorced. We had dinner every night at actually a table, which was really surprising, I think, for a lot of teachers. Like when I told them that we have dinner at a specific time every day, like no phone, no TV, and we had a family dinner. My parents were never like drug addicts or alcoholics. Like I don't remember them ever really like partying or drinking like that.
And you damn sure would have known if they were.
Yeah, I would have known for sure.
That would have been definitely a thing you remember.
Yeah. I just remember, like, I think I had like a really normal childhood, and we didn't have a lot of money, but I didn't know, like, growing up, I didn't feel like we were poor. But looking back now, and then like actually talking to my mom about it now, she's like, yeah, we like went to McDonald's, and that's when cheeseburgers were like 89 cents or something, or however much they were, and like we like split hamburgers. She basically took us there so she can have time and just relax. And there's three of us. I'm a middle child. My brother is an angel. He never got in any trouble. Like, I've always been the social butterfly of the family. Yeah, my childhood was really good. I was always a really good kid, and I never wanted to get in trouble. I had good grades. I was actually on the honor roll. I was smart in high school and middle school and all that for some reason. I don't know what happened.
It's because you did the work.
Yeah. So I was always really like pretty straight edged, Once I got into like, I think it was high school, is once I got into 9th grade is when like things started to like take a turn, because I was introduced to this like whole new world. Because my parents were kind of strict. Like I was never really allowed to do anything, go out. Mm-hmm. I had sleepovers with friends and stuff, but like my brother never, I guess, usually the first one kind of breaks your parents in, and then they're more lenient. Well, my brother never did that for me. He never did that for me.
It's like a tester with the first one, and then everything else is smooth sailing.
Like, okay, like it's fine. The first one's still alive. Like,
yeah.
Whatever. Well, I never had that. I had friends who had older brothers, and they like didn't have a curfew, and they were allowed to go out and do things and be social, and I just wanted that, I'm like, I want to hang out with everybody too. Like I want to go to parties. And I think it was the end of my 9th grade year is when I went to my first party and had my first drink, and I remember getting a cup of whiskey, and I drank it straight. Like, what the heck was I even thinking? Like,
your first drink, off to the races already.
Yeah, I'm like, someone handed me a cup. It was this red Solo cup, and I think it was like halfway full of whiskey, and I just kept drinking it. It didn't taste good at all, and I just remember getting so sick. Like, they kicked me out of the party because I was so sick. And this girl that I was friends with at the time told on me because she wasn't at the party with me, and my mom pulls up behind me after I'm being dropped off at my friend's house, because I was like, yeah, I'm just having a sleepover at my friend's house. classic move of being able to stay out. And she like drugged me out of the car, and I was like, "What's wrong? I'm not
Everything's
drunk."
Good. I was just sleeping.
And as I'm like vomiting everywhere, I'm like, "No, I'm not drunk." So, oh my gosh, she was so mad. She was so mad, and I was grounded forever. So that was, I guess, my first like experience into the party scene, and I was still like at that point, not really. I wasn't into drugs or anything. Like I still said no to drugs, and you know that obviously changed after. What is it? I don't know. Once I turned 16, I think I got a boyfriend, and they called him Crazy Eddie, and amongst some other names. I knew a couple of those. Yeah, amongst some other names, they called him, and he was like into like partying, and he was like doing drugs and stuff. And
he was Crazy Eddie.
He was very crazy. Yeah, he was very, very crazy. And I think at that point, I don't know if I've tried smoking weed or not. I think I probably had, and I don't know.
Wasn't your thing?
It wasn't really my thing. I kept trying for it to be. I really did. I
really
tried.
Want this. I'm going to keep trying.
I really did, because I just, like, everybody else was doing it.
Yeah.
It was, you know, I wasn't really like into drinking a lot of things. I remember hating beer. Like, I wasn't really big, and I didn't enjoy it.
You had a bad first experience.
Yeah, basically. So it just was never doing that again, the whole whiskey thing. So getting with him, like, I know that he had like experimented like with cocaine and like ecstasy and stuff, and I don't know what made me take this dive, but I went from like saying no to all that stuff, and then next thing you know, I'm hanging out with this guy and trying ecstasy. 16 years old, I'm jumping right into the ecstasy train, and you know, I really liked it, so I just kind of kept with it. I really liked him, and you know, things with our like, we stayed together for a long time, on and off, and he was like a big part of, you know, just my life, and I think how I, you know, came in strong with my addiction and everything.
Yeah.
So I remember one night I was still pulling the having a sleepover thing to stay out, and I was sleeping at my friend's house, and then we ended up going to what we called rolling parties. And that's where we just all were in a house, like windows blacked out.
Yep,
and,
I know all about those.
Well, he took my car to go down the road to Walmart to get something, I don't know.
Fix, probably.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? But either way, we're all like messed up. Mm-hmm. Like, nobody should have been driving, but you don't think about that because you don't think about anything when you're messed up. And
I got this.
Yeah.
Trust me, I got this.
I'm totally fine. I'm not drunk.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
So we had flip phones, razors back then, and his died, and I'm like, here, take my cell phone just in case you need anything, not thinking anything of it. Well, I don't know how much time had lapsed, but we got a phone call from him on my phone, and he said he crashed my car. And I'm like, okay, like, no, you didn't. He's like, no, it's like upside down in a field. And I'm like, all right, fine. Like, I still didn't believe him.
You had to go see it for yourself.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right. I'm like, we have to go find Eddie. He said that my car is like crashed upside down in a field somewhere. And this was when 54 was just being built. So Duck Slough over there it was all under construction. Like all the McDonald's, everything, none of that was there. So it was a field. And it's like probably 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, pitch black. Driving down the road, and I'm like, I don't see you anywhere. Like, where are you? So I finally am like, just the other guy that was driving, his name was Eddie also. So I'm like, just drop me off here. I'll just go like walk through the field and I'll find him. Whatever. So I'm walking in a field. I have no cell phone. He leaves, and I don't know what I was thinking. I really just don't know. Like, looking back now, I'm like, what the heck? Like, what were you doing?
Here, drop me off here. I got this.
Yeah. I'm 54, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, pitch black. So I find him. My car was literally upside down in the middle of the field. My stuff in my vehicle were spread all over the field.
And you're supposed to be at a sleepover?
Yeah. So I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, how am I going to explain this? So, again, with the thinking that I like to do, I'm like, okay, like, I'm not going to be able to get this covered on insurance if I don't say I was driving. But he was like, surprisingly, he was alive, like, and he was a little banged up, but nothing bad. And I'm like, well, maybe I'll just like bang my head against a tree. So it looks like I was in the car, and I'm just like covered dirt all over myself. And I can't believe I'm saying this on camera. I don't even know how many people have actually told this before.
Well, this is awesome.
I don't even know if I told my parents this.
It's kind of the insanity of it.
It's crazy. It's very crazy. So then I call a friend first, because I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, you know, at one point the sun's going to come up and people are going to see this. You know, I have to call somebody. I have to call my parents. So I think I did call 911. And then I called my parents, and they were not happy. And I thought that there was no way that they're going to think that I'm sober, because I wasn't. And my pupils were like this big. And I told them, I don't know, I thought it would be better to tell them I had been drinking. And they were just like, I don't think that you've been drinking. Like, your eyes don't normally look like that. So they somehow let me go. Because my parents were there and his parents were there, and they were just like, I can't believe that you guys are alive, because really, if I was in that car, like, I would have probably been, my head would have been crushed in, because the passenger side was pressing down on the headrest of the seat. So it's really crazy that he even survived. But you know, I think that you know, somebody was watching over him, and you know, that's how he survived. And I was really in a lot of trouble. And
yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, so I was in a lot of trouble. I was grounded the entire summer. It was right before summer. Me and him were not allowed to see each other for a long time, but you know, then we eventually, things fizzled out, and you know, we stayed together, and you know, we kind of moved on from that for the most part, and just, like, I guess, did normal high school things.
Okay, so
like, we're back to like living a kind of normal life. Like, we still partied, and you know, we drank and did
just no driving.
Yeah, no driving. Well, after that, I was terrified to get into a car with anybody who was under the influence. My senior year, hanging out with this girl, she gets into a car accident, and she was a dancer. They gave her prescription painkillers, and they gave her a lot. And
back then, I mean, if I'm thinking back then, it's that's when everything was hitting.
Yes, and at this point, I was still saying like no to cocaine. Like, I had no interest in that. I had no interest in most of the things that they warned you about, except for the ecstasy that I did, you know, and then the weed that I kept trying to smoke. And I was like, I don't care about cigarettes. Like, it was very strange things that I chose, and was like, I'm okay with this. Like, there's no rhyme or reason to it. So, she had been taking these pills, and I had no idea. I didn't know anything about it. And then one day she like handed me one, and she was like, yeah, let's do this. And I'm like, oh, okay, you know, it comes from a doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, you're telling me that it's fine. So I remember this day very clearly. We were supposed to go meet my friends at Busch Gardens. We were on our way, and she takes it's like a Roxy 30, breaks it down, and splits it, and we snort it. And then we ended up not going to Busch Gardens and walking around. I think it's like West Shore Mall or University Mall.
Okay.
University, I think it's called it, right by Busch Gardens. We ended up walking around there, and I just remember being like, felt like I was like floating. Like, I just remember like, wow, this is pretty cool. Like, all right, I can get down with this. And so then we hung out every day, and then she would just give them to me. We would split them every single day, and then a couple weeks goes by, and one morning I wake up, and I was on the phone with her, and I was like, yeah, I don't know, I don't really feel good. And she was like, oh, it's like, don't worry, I'll come over, I'll take care of it. And I was like, well, what do you mean? She's like, oh, you just need to do a pill. And I was like, huh, you know, and then she came over and fixed it.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing is like, you know, we think it's okay because doctors prescribe it.
Yeah.
And then, so it's it feels safer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we're just trying stuff, just having fun. Right. And then next thing you know, before you know it, and you, like, when I first started doing it too, I didn't think I could get, like, hooked. Like, I was like, that's heroin. You can't get hooked on this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not doing heroin. I'm doing freaking painkillers from a doctor. So I'm thinking like it's okay, and next thing you know, I'm hooked. Like, and we're just like, oh, I just feel like crap, and then you feel good, and it's that cycle. That
quick fix.
Man, it's just insane. Mm-hmm. Yep, and then that's it. Then it's off the races.
Yeah, and you would think that at that point you would be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't continue to do this, you know. But then I was like, okay, well, here I am. I'm already here, so I might as well just keep going.
I've arrived. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like this is my life
turn around now.
Yeah, this is my life now. Whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and so then, you know, that stuff that changes you. Mm-hmm. The way you think is totally different. Like your body physically needs it, whether you mentally want it or not. Yep. And you know, and that kind of goes hand in hand because, like, you know, physical pain, you're like, okay, let's fix it. I don't want to feel this way. So quick fix. That's what we're all about. Yeah. In so many different ways.
And the feel good.
Yeah, and the feel good.
Feel good.
But that feel good ends up, now half the pill isn't going to do it for me anymore, because just like anything else, you gain a tolerance to it. Mm-hmm. So then it starts to be more and more and more and more. And so here we are, me and my friend, we're basically like splitting her monthly supply. So, and she's also started selling them because you can make a lot of money on those. Yeah. But when you have an addiction on top of it, it's a weird cycle. You sell them to make money, but then you go and buy them back, you know, and it's like, where's the logic in any of this?
There isn't. It really, it's that mindset like, oh, I'm making a bunch of money, but then you're like, go buy them back. So it's like, there's no point.
Right.
There's no point.
So no point. So as both of our tolerances start getting higher and higher, you know, we need more. And that's when you start taking people to doctors and buying their prescriptions. And there was a big thing of doctor shopping back huge. Then. Like, people going to like different doctor every day. And then eventually I ended up going and getting my own MRI and getting my own prescription. And I think she ended up going to treatment. And, you know, she like moved and she moved down to Boca, and she's doing really, really well now.
Good.
And she's probably over 10 years sober now. She's got a kid, married, awesome. Like she's doing really, really great. Awesome. Which is good because, you know, she was always a really good person, and doing the drugs turned her into a not so good person.
It's usually what happens. Almost everybody I know that's an addict, they're great people. Some of the best people I know. Mm-hmm. It's just, you know, we just lose our way, and we're not bad people. It's just we do dumb shit.
Yeah, because you're not thinking logically.
Yeah, pretty much, man. Yeah. We are temporarily insane.
Yeah. So, and I'm kind of jumping all over the board here.
No, you're all good.
But going back to, you know, my friendship with her, Eddie, who I was dating, he hated her. He did not like her at all, and this was before he got into pills. I was doing them, and I was hiding it from him, because obviously part of me knew that he wasn't going to like it, and it was wrong, you know. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like I was proud of it, and, you know, I didn't want to tell anybody except for the people that were using also.
Of course.
You know, birds of a feather flock together. So, you know, and then finally one day he ended up trying them, and then that spiraled our whole relationship, and like he ended up, I mean, if there's a level of how bad you are, like he ended up being, I mean, I can't say way worse than me, but in a way, yeah. Like,
it might have been like me.
It's probably like you.
Yeah, I get it.
But
guys are sometimes more extremists.
He was, and he had always been very extreme. Mm-hmm. Like, if he was going to do it, like he was going to do it and go all out. So
I always tell Tiffany that. I always say, I'm either all in or all out.
Yeah.
I'm not lukewarm ever.
Yeah.
I'm not a lukewarm kind of guy.
Yeah.
It's just it's a personality trait, you know.
I mean, funny story about Eddie. This is just give you a little bit of like how like crazy he was. He wanted to get out of work one day, and he was working at a restaurant. He like stabbed himself in the arm to say, "Oh, I got stabbed. I can't come into work."
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So
he's a little past me.
Yeah. So
I don't stab myself.
Just wanted to give you a little like.
All right. A little background information.
Yeah. So we had a very, very toxic relationship, you know, and I was very crazy, just as crazy as he was. Yeah, I was very crazy. Like, I think my emotions were all over the place. Could you imagine being in high school? You know, you just went through like a whole ecstasy phase, and then now you're doing drugs, and you're still trying to figure out who you are and your emotions, and you know,
the ecstasy,
going through puberty and everything. I had very like good like highs, just as a person, like and very low lows. Like I was like, you know, I my emotions were all over the place. I was after high school now, and I actually had started going to college, and I started selling drugs, and I was still using at this time, but I didn't do very well in college. I stopped going to class a lot because
it got in the way.
Yes, I was making money.
Yeah,
you know? I had drugs to sell.
He was balling.
Yeah, I had money to make, and I was like, okay, I don't need this stupid education. You know, I was too high to go to class because I was like nodding out because I was doing so many pills at the time, and I started doing Xanax because I was prescribed it. So I started dabbling in that. I'm like, okay, this is cool.
They go hand in hand.
Yeah.
The doctors always do. I mean, back then when the pill mills, when all that stuff was going down, I mean, that's what they give. They give you Oxys, they give you Roxys, they give you Xanax. I mean, I was like, how does somebody... Like, that's one thing is I never got a script because I knew I'd kill myself back then because my whole family did.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't. I know what's going to happen to me. I'll die.
Yeah. Well, I'm very lucky that I didn't die or anything like... I mean, I can't say serious. Nothing serious happened, but because it did, you know. So at this point, I'm, you know, I think I'm like so cool. Like I'm in the game. Like I'm a girl, and I'm, you know,
hustling.
I'm out here hustling. I'm taking people to the doctor. At this point, I'm like single. Like I had a lot of money, and I had endless amounts of pills that I could do all the time, and I'm like, yeah, I made it.
I have arrived.
I made it. Like, this is cool.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, gosh. Boy, was I ever... I couldn't be more wrong.
It's a fucked up reality.
Yeah.
You know?
I couldn't be more wrong.
Yeah.
So, also being a girl is very dangerous doing that.
Of course.
I've gotten robbed many, many times. And I was still living in my parents' house at this point in time, in denial, like they knew something was up, obviously, because it's not really hard to hide, you know, when you can't keep your eyes open half the time and your skin's like gray and pale.
We thought we have it all together.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
I'm like,
you guys are nuts.
Yeah, no, I'm not like those scumbags. Like, no, that's not me. Yeah, no, I was a scumbag.
Yeah.
That was me. Like, I just thought that nobody else knew.
Yeah, you can't see your own shit.
Yeah, no, you can't.
You can't.
Like, I thought I played it off really well, but no, my gosh, I was again wrong about that.
Looking back.
Yeah, looking back, you know.
Like, okay, so I'm guessing you found recovery and change pretty early on in your 20s, huh?
Yes. At one point, I did get away from the pills.
Okay.
And I don't know how, when, I really don't remember that. It's really fuzzy for me. And I got into the cocaine scene. For whatever reason, I must have been 19 or 20, I think. 19 or 20. And I started working at this bar. Everybody there, like, did coke.
I mean, it goes hand in hand with bar scenes.
Yeah, everyone did coke, and I was like, and so then I started seeing dollar signs there, because I'm like, all right.
You're just a hustler at trade.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I see what's going on. So rolling around at night, like all hours of the night, and I was making good money, and I was like, now I've made it. Like, I reached a new level, and you know, at that point, like,
I'm like Pablo,
yeah,
like Scarface up in here.
Oh my gosh. I watched Scarface so much. And then, like, yeah, this is my life, and you know, I just thought it was cool. I thought it was cool, and you know, it wasn't. And at that point, I didn't really have a lot of friends. I had a lot of friends, but I paid for everything. You know, I paid for my friends, and I knew it. You know, because I'm like, all right, you know, these people want to be around me, and I'm like, hey, let's go out. Like, let's go hang out. And they're like, oh, I don't have money, and I'm like, it's fine, I have money. Like, I got this. Like, I'm gonna take care of it. And I think I really like that. You know, because I felt like, you know, I was able to take care of people.
Yeah,
and
give you a little bit of purpose.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah, I kind of did the same thing.
Yeah.
Not a lot of my friends had money, and I used to, if you didn't have it, let's go.
Yeah.
I'm down.
I didn't care. Like, yeah. And that's kind of like how I am now. Like I don't mind, like, if I had to, you know, pay for something for somebody, I guess. You know, I don't think I have any friends like that, but I guess if it came down to it,
if you had
then, but I got into that scene, and it was that was a shorter period of my life, and I ended up getting away from it because I just had a really, really bad feeling, and it just, I'm like, I see myself getting into a lot of trouble. And so I went back to pills, and here we are again. I'm back to doing.
Well, it's prescribed, so you're good.
Right. So I'm back to doing drugs. Well, back to the pill drugs, and man, in this last time, like things really, really like escalated and took off. I think at one point, like I was taking people. It was like a full-time job, taking people to the doctor, like all over. You know, at one point, I think I was just like, oh my gosh, like, what am I doing? And I think I realized at one point how many drugs I was doing and putting into my body every day. Like, I was breaking down 530s at a time and a Xanax bar, and that was my breakfast. And I would do that several times throughout the day, so you're looking at probably 30 oxy 30s or more a day.
A lot.
And here I am, like, still living and breathing and fine, like, fine.
Conscious is up there.
I was fine.
Yeah.
And I realized that I was addicted to Xanax, and that it actually had side effects because I had a seizure one time. And I was still living at my parents' house, and they came in my room. They must have heard something. I was just chilling, watching TV, and it was at night, and I must have started seizing because I hadn't had Xanax in a couple days, but I didn't physically feel anything from it. Probably because I couldn't feel anything in my body. But I remember like waking up terrified, and I was holding my purse in the corner. My parents were in my doorway, and I was just like screaming, crying, and I was like, I didn't know who my parents were. Like, I was like, get away, get away. Like, and I was in my brain, I envisioned my parents tied up in my living room, and these people were trying to like kidnap me or something. It's very very weird. And I remember coming to, you know, and then they're like, you know, what are you talking about? Like,
you're a little off your rocker.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe you guys are my parents. And I remember saying this, and my mom could tell you too, but I'm like, maybe you're like my birth parents, but not like my parents. And like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it was like a light, like, came on, and I was like, holy shit! Like,
you snapped out of it.
Yeah, and I'm like, and so then I was even more terrified because I'm like, I have no idea what's happening, and like why I'm feeling and thinking this way, and I remember my tongue was all bruised, like, 'cause I bit the shit out of my tongue, and my mouth was like, oh my gosh.
So, carrying into like, when did it all so you know, you're getting bad, you're getting worse, and then where did it all change? Like, when it was enough?
You would think all these instances that happened to me, I would be like, okay, maybe it's time to like do something about this. So I got this job, and I was working there for 2 weeks, and I remember I just got my prescription because I think I went to work late or called off to go to the doctor. Making a really good first impression. So I remember my dad calling me, and I was over at my boyfriend's house, and he was like, oh yeah, some detectives came to the door for you. And I was like, oh really? And he was like, yeah. He's like, they said that, you know, they need to talk to you, like you witnessed something or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay. I had a really, really weird gut feeling that that's not what they wanted to talk to me about. So I did call them. I mean, they obviously knew where I lived, so there was really no hiding.
Yeah, you ain't getting away from it.
Yeah, you know, and so I called them like, yeah, we need to talk to you because you witnessed something or other. Or I can't remember exactly what they said, but it was something along those lines. And they're like, can we talk to you tomorrow? And I was like, yeah. You know, I'll be home from work at such and such time, so you can come by then. Get home from work, and then they come and they have narcotics team was on their like Kevlar and stuff, and they were in an unmarked SUV. And I entered the door, and they were like, you know, we need you to step outside. And then they placed me under arrest because I had sold to an undercover cop. So, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I haven't really been like selling lately that much. Like, so they handcuffed me. I'm out front, and my mom pulls up, and as I'm being arrested, and she was like, I had like one tear that came out, and I was like, get it together, Kayla. And my mom's like, no, like don't take her. And then I was like, oh man, it was very weird and uncomfortable and
awkward,
embarrassing. Like, you know, I'm like, are any of the neighbors out? Like, do they see? You know, not that I cared when I was selling outside of my parents' house if the neighbors saw that or not. But now that I'm
now you're getting arrested. Now you're actually guilty of something.
So I was just friendly. I wasn't mad at the cops. I was like, well, I did this, so, you know. They told me that I was arrested for trafficking, sales, and possession. So I had a trafficking charge, which holds a minimum mandatory prison time for 3 to 5 years. So
just one.
I had one trafficking charge. I had one sales charge.
Okay.
Because I sold.
They're not together.
They're separate. So
okay.
I sold to an undercover cop twice. Yeah, good job. Like,
well, I mean,
but
goes with the lifestyle usually.
Yeah. So I was like, in my head, I thought, I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I'm just gonna go to jail for a couple nights and then like I'll get out. That's what everybody else did. Like, it was not a big deal. I mean, I did not want to go to jail. I was terrified.
First time too.
First time. I've never been in trouble before.
And serious charges.
And very serious charges. Like, it was actually, you know, I was out of my mind, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna detox in jail, you know. And like, what's gonna happen? So like, I get there, and they must have done some like warrant sweep because my charges were from like 6 months, 7 months prior, and I was like, oh yeah, this is like 6-7 months ago. How are they got? Well, they had the proof. They had, you know, witness, undercover cop. They have recordings. Like, it was legit. You know, I did it. It was me.
There's no getting away with it.
Yeah.
That's your face.
So they held me in some holding cell downtown, and they kept me cuffed the entire time. I remember that was miserable. And I had to pee. There was no toilet paper in there, and I was also still cuffed, hands behind my back. And so that was a challenge in itself, trying to use the bathroom when you have handcuffs on. Like, I don't suggest it. Like,
I won't try it.
Yeah. So I had to take every piece of jewelry out. They took my hair tie, like my shoes, everything from me. You know, they take all that stuff from me when you go to jail. Then they transported me to Land O'Lakes, where I was going to be spending a lot of time there. I didn't know that when I first got there. So then I was in another holding cell with a lot of women. There was a lot of people there, and it took until I think I actually finally got booked in like at 5 a.m. the next day. So it was a very, very long night. And I was terrified.
Yeah.
I was so scared.
First time in jail is usually the most terrifying.
And I was trying to like, I'm like, all right, I have to like put a face on because I didn't know. I didn't want to be the girl and they're crying. Even though I was so scared. It was the most terrifying moment or day, I guess, of my life. At that point, at least, I was very, very scared. So I told them that I was on Xanax and I was detoxing. So they put me in medical first. And I remember the medical, I thought that was jail. Like, you're in this like little cell. It's dark.
The light's always on.
Yep. And then you have like a little window, and then there's like crazy people. Like it's like the psych ward.
Screaming.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I was in with this girl, and she had bruises all over her, and she knew it was my first time, and she definitely scared me. She's like, the girls are so mean, this and that, and you know.
Painting a war story for you.
Yeah.
That you're going into.
She's like, don't even try to change the TV channel. And I'm like, okay. Like,
I'm hoping that long enough to watch a show.
I'm just a little girl. Like, I was 21. It was March of 2012. And I remember just being so scared. And I slept a lot. And then I talked to my parents, and they're like, okay, well, you know, we can either bail you out, but we'd have to put the house up as collateral because it was going to cost $75,000 to get me out of jail.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It was a big boy charge.
Yeah, and or we can get you an attorney. And so I'm like, she's like, we can't do both. So I said, okay. I'm like, then get the attorney then, which was $10,000 for a lawyer. And you know, I actually knew a girl in there, and she used Chris Fry. He had like specialized in like drug charges. And, so he, you know, eventually came and talked to me, and he did obviously a good job, but I didn't know how long I was going to be in there, but he told my parents, like, do not get her out of jail. Leave her in there because, you know, anything can happen, and it looks better on the judge. So I finally get into general population, which I was like really scared because of what this girl told me. So I walk in, everything's like super bright, and there were so many people there. They had me on like a little boat. Yeah. Because they didn't have any more rooms in the cells. There were so many people in there, and I just know this was devastating to my parents.
Of course.
And you know, my mom came every single week to visit me, and you know, and she was like frustrated a lot with it. And I was like, Mom, you just gotta be patient. Like, just trust the lawyer. Like, just let him do his job. I know that like we want answers and stuff, but
just let him do his job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if not, it makes it worse.
Yeah, I'm like, you can't fire him. Like, let him do his thing. Like, I promise you. I'm like, you know, my friends in here told me about him, and like there was one girl that I went to high school with, and she was in there. She was waiting. She was waiting to get into a house, like inpatient recovery. So that's what she was waiting for, and they like whatever her deal was, like she couldn't get out and then wait outside. Like she still had to be in jail until they had a bed for her.
Gotcha. So after you do your 5 months,
Mm-hmm.
so what happened exactly with the lawyer? What happened? What was your outcome as far as the trial, or did you?
So I had to plead guilty.
Okay.
And
lesser charges, or
for less charges.
Okay.
For less charges, I had to plead guilty, and he got my trafficking reduced to a sales. So I have 3 felonies, 2 sales and 1 possession. Which I was always so angry about the possession because I'm like, it was my prescription. I never got it.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, nitpicky. Anyways, but yeah, I got that. And my sentence was 6 months county jail, 18 months felony drug offender probation, no early term. Then I had my license suspended for 2 years, and I also had to do an outpatient treatment program for 6 months.
Where'd you do that at?
Sober Solutions, I believe it was.
Okay, yeah, I know them.
Yeah, they came and interviewed me and were really nice. And so I got out 5 months, and I didn't know that I was getting out, and all this was happening until 2 weeks before I was being let out. So at this whole time, I'm in jail for almost 5 months. I had no idea when I was getting out, if I was getting out.
Ooh, that's rough.
Yeah. So I learned a lot of patience in there. And I think that, you know, that kind of helps me a lot with like my life. So I got out, and it was just weird. I didn't know how to feel, how to think, what to do.
Well, when you went in there, you were not exactly in your right mind, right? Anything.
And I still wasn't.
Yeah.
You know, I was sober, but I wasn't. My mind was not right.
Yeah.
You know, because I agreed to all these terms. And then I got out and I'm like, well, I did my time. Why do I need to do this, and this? Like, why do I have a 10 o'clock curfew? Why is my license suspended? Like, this had nothing to do with driving. Why do I have to go to this treatment center?
Drug offender.
Yeah.
Drug offender, they suspend your license for 2 years.
Which, it makes sense now.
It does.
It makes a lot of sense to me now. But I was angry when I got out, and I didn't know that I was going to feel that way. I didn't understand a lot of things. I didn't know if I wanted to be sober. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I kind of just went through the motions, fake it till you make it. And
sometimes that's the best thing that anybody can do. Is just fake it till you make it. You know, and just keep one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
You know?
I was just like angry for a little bit, and confused, and then sad, and then I was
the emotional roller coaster.
Yeah. It seems like the status quo, right?
Yeah.
So I did all the program, and the more I did it, went to like NA meetings, like the better things got and the better I felt. And a big thing for me too, like I was super insecure.
I think everybody that that's an addict is insecure. They have some daddy issues is what I call them.
Yeah. And I think that I always had those insecurities before doing drugs. And, you know, that kind of was it. Drugs made me feel confident when I was on them. And I kind of always felt like I was on the outside, I guess. But that made me feel like I was not on the outside. So I knew I had to find a job and be a normal functioning human.
A real one now.
22 years old. I had maybe $100 to my name that I found, or maybe 200, I think it was. I found in a pocket in my closet.
Score.
Yeah, so I had $200 to my name. I had nothing. You know, I'm 22 years old and I have no money saved up. You know, I had all of my old friends from high school that didn't talk to me anymore because of, you know, they were doing things with their lives. Like they're starting their careers, and, you know, here I am. You know, I've been on pause for a long time, which I like to call that time of my life, basically from like 18 to 22. Like mentally, I was on pause. You know, I think my maturity level was not where it needed to be.
No, definitely not. It stunts your growth. It just like, because this is where you grow, is in your frontal lobe. I don't know the scientific behind it, but it stunts your growth. I mean, shit, my whole 20s was a blur.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't grow up till I finally found recovery, and like, you know, still playing those stupid games, you know, and just, you know, I felt young. I felt like I was still in my 20s. Yeah. You know, it's crazy, but that's how my mind worked, because it didn't grow. I've numbed it so much. Yeah. And this is what happens.
Yep. Yeah. Basically. So me trying to find a job, I'm like, here's my application. I'm a felon. Is that okay? Like, I'm like shaking and sweating and like probably like as red as a tomato. Like I was just nervous, like telling people that, and they're like, yeah, okay. Like, because I didn't tell them I'm on probation, and I couldn't drive, and you know I'm the model employee right here. Please hire me. Like, so
just need a freaking job.
Yeah. So here my mom comes to the rescue again. She got me a job back at my old work, because it was her office, like where she worked, but a different. She's like, I'm not gonna put you over with where you were before. Like, let's just move you over into this. Yeah. So she put me in. Before it was a call center. Now I was in like some processing department, which you know, around good people, good like role models and stuff. So once I found that and I had like a purpose, instead of like sitting at home watching TV all the time and like just like counting the hours till like, I have to go to NA meeting or I have to do this or whatever, I actually had a purpose in life, you know, and I think that was a monumental moment for me. You know, I had structure. You know, I woke up and my mom took me to work because we went to the same place, and I think that it made my mom really happy, that she knew what I was doing and, you know, where I was going, and we spent a lot of time together during that time, and I know that I think like most parents like blame themselves
A little bit.
What did I do? And, you know, and I'm like, Mom, you guys didn't do anything wrong. Like, this was on me. Like, I did this because of one reason or the other, like being rebellious or not feeling secure or whatever. Like, it's nobody's fault but my own.
Yeah.
You know? So I think throughout that whole process, I just kind of learned to, you know, take responsibility for my own actions and, you
own
know,
up to the bullshit.
Yeah. I'll be the first person usually to say, as much as I don't want to, like, all right, I messed up, like, in any situation in life, you know, like, I'm sorry, that was my fault.
Yeah. We got to find out what our part is in everything we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think just being a productive person in society was a big thing for me, like going to NA meetings, doing my program. You know, I did everything that I was supposed to do. I saved my money. I paid off all of my fees and everything that I owed. Then I just had to wait out my term. And, you know, here I am, an adult. I think I was 23 or 23 by the time I actually got off of probation. You know, I had a 10 o'clock curfew. I had gotten into a relationship and, you know, could never go out anywhere past 10 o'clock. So, and this was actually a good person.
It's good
Yeah.
that you actually did it, because that would probably throw you off.
Yeah.
Of what you're trying to do.
Yeah. So, and this was actually like my first like real like good guy that I was with, because he cared about me, you know, and actually got me home before my curfew.
Oh, really?
He didn't want me to get in trouble, and he was a really good person. It didn't work out, but for one reason or the other. But yeah, I went in to court one day to ask to go on vacation with my family, because you had to get permission to do that for Christmas. I had everything was paid off, and, you know, I had no early termination for, you know, I had to do the 18 months. So I went in requesting that, and then the judge was like, she's like, well, you paid everything, you know, why didn't you, you know, why haven't you early termed yet? And I'm like, no, that wasn't like a part of the deal, you know? And she was like, oh, and then she asked probation. She's like, well, what do you guys say? And they're like, oh, well, her probation officer said she's a model citizen, and, you know, he never says that about anybody. And I was like, really? Like, are you doing on the right one?
Yeah, you got the right name on that paper over there, buddy?
So she's like, I am not going to grant you vacation. She's like, but I am going to give you early termination. And I was like, what? I was like, I could not believe it. That was like, oh my gosh, that was just I was just crying, happy tears. Like, I had mascara all over my face. And the crazy thing was there was a lot of people going up there and getting their early term slips, and like, it was no big deal. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how is this not like, it was huge for me. Like, it was, I did not expect that. And like, I went home and I told my dad, and like, I could see my dad was tearing up, and he was like, I'm proud of you. And it was just such a great moment. And I felt like I really, like, now I made it, you know? And
it wasn't selling drugs.
No.
That wasn't making it.
No, it wasn't. And, you know, life is hard, and it's not always like going to be, well, it's really contradictory. Like, it's not always going to be easy, and that's okay. You know, everybody has their struggles, no matter whether it's drugs or just any type of struggle in life.
Yeah, life is struggles, you know. Just depends on how you deal with it. Most time we numb it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and sometimes you just have to deal with the problem head on.
Because no matter what, that problem's still going to be there when you are done getting high.
Exactly. It's not going to go away.
It's not, you know, that's my biggest thing I take from recovery is the life on life terms.
Yeah.
You know, as life comes at you, and I think that's helped me a crap load. Because life is
unpredictable.
And it's still going to be there. It's still going to beat you up.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm just like very grateful for, you know, everything that I have and the people that I have in my life. And it's like, I would have never had anything that I have right now if it wasn't for me being sober. Like, not like, I'm not getting high. I'm not, you know, dedicated to a drug. I'm dedicated to like my life and growing and building. You know, the one thing I wanted to like explain to everybody that's watching this is like,
you know, you're a realtor. You know, I'm a freaking contractor. Like, we're both state licensed.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people.
They said yes to us.
I know. That's what I like. I want to like. That's the message I want to get across. Is like, just because you are a felon or you've done some stuff in the past, when you fix your life, show that you're a stand-up person, that you're not this scumbag that you only see on paper.
Yeah.
That you can take your life to that next level. You can do something with your life. You're not stuck.
No. And just because you have a past, we all do. Some people get out of it on their own, and some people go through the stuff that we went through. You know, everybody has a past. You know, nobody's perfect. Some people get caught, some don't. And some people can rise above without going through all the muck and everything that we did, and some people can't. But I'm extremely grateful for whoever set me up, which I think I know who did it.
You set yourself up, bro.
Yeah, but you know, I'm okay. But I'm okay with it. And if I saw them today, I would say thank you so much for what you did to me, because you saved my life. And there are countless times I should have died. I should have overdosed. I should have crashed a car. I should have been arrested. Like, there's so many times that I can't even, one, I don't remember all of them. And then, you know, I can count, I just, endless times. Like, I should not be alive. And I'm grateful that I am. I'm just grateful for everything that I went through, because who would I be today?
Exactly.
You know, without it.
You know, this one thing is like, somebody asked me, is like, if you can go back and change one thing in your past, or tell your younger self anything, what would it be? And I always say, like, just keep trying. You know what I mean? Like, keep trying, because, like, I wouldn't change anything from my past either.
Yeah.
It's made me who I am.
And you can't tell yourself, because there's so many times my mom told me one thing or another, and then I'm like, okay. And then I kind of knew she was right, but then I have to experience it. Like, that's how I am. Like, don't do this, don't do that. Okay, well, I'm going to do it and learn for myself, which is
hot stove trick.
Right. So it's like, I don't know. It's just how I am. Gotta figure it out on my own. And yeah.
Well, Kayla, it's pretty amazing. You know, looking at Kayla, you wouldn't think that she would have a past or anything like that, but
nobody ever believes me. And I'm like, no, I'm not kidding.
No, and it's really cool to actually, like, be blown away by that. Listen, usually nobody blows me away, like, if they tell me that, and I'm like, I kind of knew that, you know?
Yeah.
No, didn't know. So thank you so much for your story. So guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, and don't miss another episode from The Hope Shot. And thanks for watching.